go of your hand. The sky trades the moon for the sun, my girl. The sky trades the moon for the sun. Then like an ugly brown coat, you made it pretty when you put it on. Warmth in the early March chill, my girl. Warmth in the early April. Then you made it clear it was strictly a deal of springtime love, and that's how I should feel. So I set the clock back an hour, my girl. I set the time. Did you see somewhere back there where I was a boy? Furious I had become by the point. Men are just liars and thieves of sorts. Liars and thieves. But I stand by my word. I don't know what you have seen or you heard. Somebody's lying to you, my girl. Somebody's lying to you. And you nearly made me believe I could stay and part with your accent, but that was just foolish pride, my girl. And those are only feelings inside. So I'm going back to the place where we met, find the beer bottle we left with, and the limbs of the tree that we sat in, wedged in the magnolia tree. Well, we hid for days like a proud pair of thieves, too sure we were to leave. Wasted with the moment we lifted, my girl. Stolen forever with you.
Wow. I was very off key on that one part. Just noticed that. Hello, 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 quack, quack, quack. Oh, look, I had this up. I should hit play just because.
Stay tuned because Stairway to Stardom is next with Frank Massey.
On the stairway to stardom, you see tomorrow starts today. On the stairway to stardom, we're here to brighten up your day. We've got singers and dancers and actors performing for you. But there's more, so much more, and it's all right here for you. We'll entertain with talent and style on the stairway to stardom. We've got the other shows by a mile on the stairway to stardom. Watch the stairway to stardom. Watch the stairway to stardom.
All right, on the stairway to stardom. Is that like super loud? I don't know. If it was, I'll turn it down. So, here's the deal. I had forgotten about this band until I saw a little thing about them, and I was like, oh, I remember them. They were the greatest band in the world there for a little bit, and then they just disappeared. About the sad history. It's always sad. It's always the tragic. Oh my God, it was so tragic. Some of them are these stories, but I don't know if this one's going to be as tragic because they seem like a very wholesome band. But let's find out because I got nothing to do right now. It's cold outside. It's raining.
No one wants to be known for cancer, but a treatment can be.
No one does.
What's going on, my fellow rock and rollers? Don't forget to hit the bell notification icon to be notified every time I put out a new video on my channel. This is a band that's been requested by a lot of people, and we're talking about the group Jellyfish.
Because they were awesome. They looked like they were out of the 60s. I thought they were a band out of the 60s.
They were a short-lived band based out of California that only lasted for about half a decade and put out 2 studio albums. So the band was made up of drummer and singer Andy Sturmer.
You ever heard this band, Room? I think you're the only person here right now. You ever heard this band? If you haven't, you're going to love them. You're going to absolutely love them. They're poppy. They're fun. The singer plays the drums while he sings in a very different way than most of the drummers. Anyway, let's get back into it. Let me let this guy tell you instead of me telling you. If I was going to tell it, I would make my own video, and I'm too lazy to do that, so I'm not going to do that. Continue, good sir.
And keyboardist Roger Joseph Manning Jr. The pair would cycle through a revolving lineup of instrumentalists, and today we're talking about the story of Jellyfish, a band that ended too soon. The band's story dates back to the 70s when Andy Sturmer and Roger Joseph Manning Jr. met in high school in San Francisco and bonded over their love of all things jazz, post-punk, and British pop. Sturmer played in a high school jazz band and showed promise as a gifted musician who could sing and play drums at the same time.
See, I didn't know until today that guy played drums. I did not know that. Kind of embarrassed about that. Until about 45 minutes ago, I had no idea that this here gentleman was actually the drummer.
Manning would tell Classic Rock magazine, "I've never seen anyone of his age with that expertise and command of his instrument. Andy was one of the first kids in our town who took it seriously and had a goal. He was my hero," he'd say. Following high school, Manning moved to Los Angeles and was admitted to the University of Southern California to study musical composition, and he soon became enamored with the local music scene.
We try to be cool over here. We fail a lot, but we try.
LA at the time was alive to the sounds of post-punk, the Birds of Cess Paisley Underground movement, and most prominent of all, glam metal, which was exploding from the Sunset Strip. But Manning would be captivated by an LA band that's...
Those are some pretty women right there. Man, look at those chicks. Wow.
...stood apart. The flamboyantly attired pop rockers Red Cross. Soon enough, Sturmer and Manning would join the act, collaborating with one another, and they developed their own musical style. And in 1989, they formed the group Jellyfish. Combining the musical stylings of the Beatles, Cheap Trick, ELO, and Queen, Jellyfish would become pop rock pioneers and develop what many would consider their own unique sound. Even after the pair left Beatnik Beach, they were still technically...
I don't know about their own sound, but they definitely sounded like a 60s band. At least what I've heard. I don't know. I need to shut up and let this gentleman keep telling about the band. He knows much more about them than I do.
Signed to Atlantic Records, but they weren't a priority for the label. The band's career began at a time when rock music was undergoing a massive shift from more pop-influenced and hair metal to the dark, gloomy sound of alternative rock at the turn of the new decade. Jellyfish didn't really fit what the record labels were trying to push in the early 90s. The aesthetic of the band was completely off the wall. think steampunk meets psychedelic hippie. In a 1993 LA Times article, Sturmer said the group, and I quote, never tried to suck up to any genre of music. We just did what came naturally to us and didn't worry about it. After they were signed to Atlantic Records, they recorded over the course of a year and soon became the subject of a bidding war with 8 labels. The band would eventually settle with Charisma Records, who gave the band total creative control. And their first record, Belly Button, was released on July 26th.
All right, total creative control is amazing to get. That's truly amazing, especially on a major label. I'm down for this. Especially, I didn't know they teamed up with. I didn't know they were. Them and Red Cross were a thing back in the day. Good God, need to listen to these guys again.
7th, 1990, when hair metal was still highly popular. The band was always aware of that fact that they were entirely contrary to what was going on in popular music at the time. The top performing single, Baby Coming Back, would hit the Billboard Top 100 charts, but album sales were kind of slow, only topping out at 100,000 units. The band's singles also got the video treatment, which got some play on MTV, but Jellyfish was far from being considered a household name. Despite that, they did find high-profile fans. The band would tour with the southern rock group The Black Crowes, who took Jellyfish out on tour in 1991. Member Jason Faulkner would briefly join the group, with the Faulkner and Sturmer immediately clashed. In a 2014 Louder Sound online article, Faulkner said, I immediately had trouble with Andy. He's just a difficult guy. Andy had a real strong idea of what he wanted to do, and I found that my voice wasn't as loud. They weren't.
I mean, Andy's band. Andy was the one that got signed. I see no fault in Andy right now. I may be proven wrong, but I see no fault in Andy taking over.
Open to doing any of my songs, and I didn't want to be a sideman, he'd say. With personality conflicts going on, Faulkner still had fond memories of the first album, Telling Louder Sound. It was a really exciting time making that record, but also bittersweet. The songs were the sweet bit. We were all very young. I was just 20, and Roger and Andy weren't that much older, but the music is very sophisticated. It was hard because Andy and I weren't talking, he'd say. Also joining the band on the album was Red Cross bassist Steve McDonald.
What the hell? How did I not know this? I'm embarrassed to not know this. That Red Cross and them, I had no idea. I'm embarrassed. What is that?
And Steve wouldn't tour with the band, instead being replaced by Manny's younger brother Chris. The band would enlist producer Albie Galutin, who was also best known for working with the Bee Gees. He would also work on the band's follow-up album as well. As Jellyfish hit the road, the band turned their attention to developing a real stage presence. They spent 12 weeks rehearsing for a 50-minute live show, which included a white picket fence, a bubblegum machine, and an 8-foot-tall statue of actor and Christian activist Gavin MacLeod. In 1991...
What? 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 8-foot tall statue of Gavin MacLeod. Okay. All right. Why didn't I get into these guys? I don't know. I probably would have lost my mind on acid if I got into these guys. I don't know. It's probably a good thing.
8-foot-tall statue of actor and Christian activist Gavin MacLeod. In 1991, they were one of 5 openers for INXS at Wembley Stadium, and that's when the band started developing a cult following.
Wait, what? They were one of 5 bands opening for INXS?
Of actor and Christian activist Gavin MacLeod.
And howdy, Nicole.
In 1991, they were one of 5 openers for INXS at Wembley Stadium, and that's when the band...
That's huge. It's fucking huge. But think about that. Going to see a band at Wembley Stadium, and they're like, what time's the band come on? 10 o'clock. What time is it now? 10 in the morning. How many bands have we got? Like 5. What time do those bands start? Like 5 in the afternoon. That's too many people. That's too many people for that long.
Started developing a cult following. Another aspect of their stage show was that the whole band would stand together in a line at the front of the stage.
Yeah, INXS was awesome. INXS was awesome. Very awesome. Guilty pleasure. I don't even know if it's a guilty pleasure. That song, Don't Ask Me What You Know Is True. That's a hell of
with Sturmer playing a stripped-down drum kit while singing and standing. The The band's wardrobe also caught people's attention as their onstage clothes were pretty colorful and seemed ripped from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and paid homage to the psychedelic feel of the 60s and 70s. Guitarist Jason Faulkner would tell Louder Sound how the band despised the whole grunge look at the time, saying, "We uniformly loathe the whole lumberjack rock star thing."
It is probably on the rumble side. Is probably what it is. Let's just be honest about it. If it's glitchy, it's probably rumble. Because I seem to be, let me do a speed test real quick. I do have rain outside, and rain seems to slow down my internet speed sometimes. Nope, we are chugging along. We are doing great. Make sure I got no tabs open. All right, close the pornography. Close the cat pornography for Velcro. Close the, well, that's the level porn. You got to keep that porn open. All right.
That was starting to happen. T-shirt and jeans and your crack showing when you lean down. We didn't want to be an everyman band at all. We wanted to be from outer space with a wink and a nod, he'd say. While the tour to support Belly Button would win over fans,
Is it really?
the constant close quarters only made existing tensions worse.
Is it the glitching for you, Rome? I think the only thing I can do is restart the stream, but if it's glitchy, it's going to be glitchy. Let me check something. Let me hit play. Let me do something.
And by the end of the tour, Chris Manning and Jason Faulkner had left the band. Chris would go on to become a producer, while Jason left after being diagnosed with an ulcer in his early 20s, something he attributed to the stress of being in a band with Andy. And with Chris and Jason now gone, the band was just down to the main songwriting duo of Andy and Roger. In 1992, the pair had a few brushes with some major celebrities. The songwriting duo wrote 5 songs for Ringo Starr's 1992 solo album, with one of them being used called I Don't Believe in You, and they appeared in the music.
Oh, I see what you're talking about, it being glitchy. I see what you're talking about. Let me check on something real quick. In fact, let me do this. Seeing as this will stay up for a few minutes, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to restart the computer because I think that's what needs to happen. Because I just saw what you're talking about. It's glitchy as heck on my app. So I will be right back. And if I'm not right back, I'll just restart another stream. So be right back. That is true. I was never going to give any of you up. I was never going to let any of you down. Is that better? I guess we won't find out until I hit play on something. Feels like everything's catching up. Do. Doodle-doo. So far, so good. Alrighty. Let me go back into the YouTuber machinery. That's definitely something I don't want to. I don't want to mess with a glitchy one. What was that? Jellyfish we were listening to? Yeah, Jellyfish. And I just kept talking over it. So I could just look in my history. You're right there. All right. Oh, that's right. You guys can't. How do I do that? There it is. Now you ladies can see each other's comments. Let's get back to Kroger and back to drinking.
High quality and down low prices. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Oh no, your girlfriend's dad doesn't like his gift. Maybe there's time to get a deal on something else.
All right, she. Gonna hope it's not glitchy again. It's glitchy again. What the heck is going on with that? All right, let me try something.
Chris Manning and Jason Faulkner had left the band. Chris would go on to become a producer, while Jason left after being diagnosed with an ulcer in his early 20s, something he attributed to the stress of being in a band with Andy. And with Chris and Jason now gone, the band was just down to the main songwriting duo of Andy and Roger. In 1992, the pair had a few brushes with some major celebrities. The songwriting duo wrote 5 songs for Ringo Starr's 1992 solo album, with one of them being used called I Don't Believe in You, and they appeared in the music.
It's pretty badass. You get to record for. Oh, that's what it is. Something else is loading here. All right, hold on. This was. You go in the trash. You go in the trash. All right. I'm wondering if it's the Rumble streaming. It's weird though. How do I stop? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. For right now, gonna have to suffer through it for a moment till I can figure this out. I think what it is, and I need to kill the Rumble side.
Music video for Weight of the World. They also had a failed songwriting session with Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys, and the track would eventually appear on Manning's 2005 solo album called Salt State Warrior, without a credit to Wilson. As the duo turned their attention to their second album, Spilt Milk, the decisions to create the album was pretty tumultuous, as some of the recording happened during the LA riots, and the band adhered to a grueling 6 days a week schedule. The album also proved to be an expensive endeavor for the band, who would end up creating a pretty varied record with masked choirs.
Masked choirs? Oh my gosh. All right. Let me rewind this for a minute. I need to hear this. Go back over here. Go to Rumble. Dang you, Rumble. I love you so much, but at the same time, you're such a piece of crap. Such a piece of crap. Like, I want to use you, baby, because I love you, but at the same time, you're just utter shit sometimes. I don't know if it's you. I don't know if it's StreamYard, but I gotta go with you, babe. Gotta go with you. All right, so that's still live. How do I fucking kill it? I don't know. I don't know. Let's see if it's still choppy now.
Attention to their second album, Spilt Milk. They enlisted some session musicians to replace their departed members. The sessions to create the album was band adhered to a grueling 6 days a week schedule. The album also proved to be an expensive endeavor for the band, who would end up creating a pretty varied record with masked choirs, strings, brass, flutes, and wind chimes, among many other instruments. In fact, the album's title, Spilt Milk, was a reference to being over budget and behind schedule on the record. And Spilt Milk would prove to be a commercial failure, only peaking at number 165 on the Billboard charts. Sales numbers aside, the band did find more fans in high places, as Queen guitarist Brian May, who was out promoting his solo record at the time, Resurrection, spoke highly of Jellyfish in an interview, saying, "We have the tape Spilt Milk on the bus. We like it. I can hear some influences, but they're going into new places. It's a very interesting group.
I mean, it's turned into sales.
I'm glad our influence can be seen out there," he'd say. Things began to sour on tour for Spilt Milk when the musical differences between Sturmer and Manning intensified. Sturmer also resented the role of frontman and being in the spotlight. Manning would tell Louder Sound, "Andy and I essentially had been together for 6 or 8 years. We were getting complacent and bored with each other. Our differences as people were starting to magnify, and musically, the exact same thing was happening. When we started putting together music for a third record, it was clear we were on very different paths." Manning knew the end was near when he dropped by Sturmer's house to talk about the Backs and Sparks, groups that are generally high-end.
Love all those bands, especially Sparks at the end of it. So it's not better for you. Okay, so that means it's on. I don't know what's going on. Got good speed. No one else seems to be jumpy. People using the stream yards. I don't know.
Energy, fun, melodic pop with attitude. So he was surprised when Sturmer presented him with a song that was more reminiscent of Leonard Cohen. The band would officially break up in April of 1994 over a phone call. Throughout Jellyfish's career, they really didn't make much money. Not helping things was Sturmer's iron-fisted rule over the band. Manning would tell Magnet magazine, "Now I can look back on it and see that without wisdom, maturity, and maybe some counseling and therapy, we could have never worked our way through our problems. Had there been more money coming in, it would have justified some of the pain," he'd say. So what happened after Jellyfish, you're wondering? Well, Manning went on to their sound veered more towards pop rock and was less heavily.
I remember hearing about Imperial Drag, but I can't say that I've heard a thing from them.
Inspired by Queen than Jellyfish was. Meanwhile, touring member Eric Dover would go on to front Guns N' Roses guitar / side project Snake Pit in 1995.
The fuck? The fuck? The fuck? All right.
Meanwhile, Manning and former Jellyfish guitarist Jason Faulkner would put out 2 albums together, including failed to be successful commercially. Both Manning and Faulkner would also play with alternative rock artist Beck, while Faulkner would also put out a series of solo albums. Andy, for his part, would become pretty secretive about his post-Jellyfish work and declines to be interviewed. Sturmer would end up writing music for a number of animated shows for children, including Batman and Transformers, as well as for
All right. So they all did well.
Disney Network. Even after all these years, the relationship between Andy and Roger still appears to be tense, making a reunion unlikely. The pair had an offer to reunite for Coachella in the early 2000s, but Sturmer declined Manning's offer via his lawyer. Even as recently as 2008, Manning shot down the idea of a reunion, telling Magnet magazine, "Except for Andy, we all speak to one another. Some of us make music together, but nobody is interested in working with Andy in a personal or creative capacity."
Jesus. All right. Well, that's terrible. I want to see something real quick. I'm going to run it back just a second so I can hear this on the app and see if it's still choppy.
groups that are generally high energy, fun, melodic pop with attitude. So he was surprised when Sturmer presented him with a song that was more reminiscent of Leonard Cohen. The band would officially break up in April of 1994 over a phone call. Throughout Jellyfish's career, they really didn't make much money. Not helping things was Sturmer's iron-fisted rule over the band. Manning would tell Magnet magazine, "Now I can look back on it and see that without wisdom, maturity, and maybe some counseling and therapy, we could have never worked out the pain," he'd say. So what happened after Jellyfish, you're wondering? Well, Manning went on to start a new band called Imperial Drag with touring Jellyfish guitarist Eric Dover.
Yeah, this is choppy as shit. What's going on here? What in the heck is going on here? Let me find this real quick.
Viewed a couple years.
So if I can switch over to a different browser. If I can't switch over to a different browser, I'm not sure what I can do. Let me try this. So I got nothing to do right now anyway. I'm gonna enter the studio. I'm gonna see myself twice. I'm gonna enter that studio. I'm gonna see myself twice. All right, check. All right, so let's try this. Let me see. First off, I've got to go to the extensions and manage them. The ad blocker. Where's the ad blocker? All right. We're just going to see how this goes. We're just going to see how this goes. I'm going to hit a random video. Wow, it's weird. I can hit myself. All right. Jesus, that's loud. All right. Just testing it, though. Just trying something. All right. This will be. Oh, shit. It disappeared. There it is. All right. Now, let's see if it's still glitchy with this. All right, this is laggy as shit. I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know what the setting is that's bothering me. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to completely end this stream. I'm going to start one up here in about 5 minutes. I'm going to try it again. I don't like this. This is no bueno.
I had such a great time with your mom today. We had a lot of fun. She has a message for you, though. She wanted me to tell you that she's utterly disappointed in you. Not that you don't know that. And that she thinks you're fucking retarded. Not that you don't know that either. But, yeah. She's just truly devastated with what you've become. She loves me, though, so that's great news.